Human beings seem to like art. They like to look at it. They like to make it. But it's not very often that human beings decide to make sculptures, some of them huge, and then erase them. For 62 of the 63 years of my life, I didn't know about the people who combined the impulse to create art with the impulse to race things. I found a book that does a pretty good job of explaining what these people are up to. I'll bet there's a big pile of books on this somewhere. These art races have been going on for 40 years. How could I not know about this? These people call their machines kinetic sculptures. No one seems to care much about who gets across the finish line first. Trophies are given for mediocrity as well as speed. It's about putting on a show. It's performance art. It's theater. It's a great big free theatrical performance for anyone lucky enough to stumble across one of these events like I did. I fell in love with this nonsense the first time I saw it. I know just about nothing about making films, but I'm going to have a lot of fun hanging around with these strange folks and pointing a camera at them every time I see them doing whatever it is they're doing. This is Corvallis, Oregon, and I'm in heaven. The setting for the Corvallis Kinetic Sculpture Race is beautiful, and the people who put on the Corvallis race are the most delightful bunch of lunatics I've ever seen. This is one of my favorite art machines. It's called June's Bloom, named after its designer June Moxon. Stunning. Beautiful. A great illustration of the need human beings have to surround themselves with art. June has been racing kinetic sculptures for over 20 years. In 1985, June and Ken Beitelman pedaled a great big multi-sectioned, 2,160-pound work of art 4,012 miles across the United States.
We actually lived in the barrel for 28 months.
You pedaled this across America.
We pedaled this machine from Ferndale, California to St. Augustine, Florida, and it took us 28 months to get there. On an average, this machine weighed 2,160 pounds. So it was a huge adventure. We went 3 to 4 miles an hour. And down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, Ken actually broke his leg. And so we had to hook our arms up to our feet and continue pedaling.
The Ken Beitelman that June was just talking about is the guy at the steering wheel of this truck that's going up the sand dune right now. As you watch Ken come down the sand dune, you'll see why he's not too terribly concerned about broken bones. The Armored Carp. C-A-R-P Carp. It was made by Dwayne Flatmo, who's been building these creations for over 25 years now. Dwayne was even on the David Letterman show and Jay Leno demonstrating some of his smaller creations and playing flamenco guitar with an egg beater. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that 4 women pedaling a human-powered bus that's as big as a real bus up a steep sand dune, and then careening back down into a screaming crowd trying to miss most of the children is too easy. You're thinking that these women and their huge 1,700-pound bus are going to have to take that thing out into a river to impress you. Something like the Willamette River, which runs fast enough through Corvallis, Oregon to sometimes flip canoes upside down. Surely these performance artists wouldn't be so mad as to take their mostly metal creations out into the Willamette River, no matter how beautiful the setting might be. It would be total folly to try to get these things to float, much less try to control them in 7 or 8 miles an hour of current. Most of these art machines do indeed float, but there's a rescue boat down there just in case. No disasters today so far, and Elliot NASA's Model T is performing beautifully in the water, just as it usually does. Elliot is the guy sitting in the right rear with the straw hat.
Gearing is the key to the sport. The perfect gearbox or gearing mechanism is the holy grail of kinetic sculpture racing. We struggle to come up with a suitable mechanism to give us wide enough range of gear ratios. You don't need a lot of gears, not a lot of different gear ratios, but you need a wide range between the lowest and the highest. And this is my latest invention here. It's more of a prototype, about half done. And I'm hoping that when it gets 2/3 done, it'll replace bicycle parts, which tend to fall apart a little easier. The machine pivots in the middle. It's just easier to build them that way, so you don't need any actual U-joints and such automotive steering mechanisms. So the whole thing pivots in the middle like an earth mover, and it works like this.
What's one of your memorable failures?
Well, that would be the steering on the 2-ton tricycle. We crashed that one several times. Once in a parade, which was quite a spectacle, but nobody got hurt badly. Once we crashed into a tree during a kinetic race in Ventura, and then we crashed it again at the same spot on the next lap and ran over one of the judges.
Is there anybody that stands out from your childhood that really was an influence as far as you're wanting to make things and build things?
Yeah. I got the disease from my grandfather, Christian Augustus Jacobson. He had a regular day job, but he was an artist on the side, and he was a painter. He did the Norwegian rose painting type of thing and much else. And he was a sculptor using found objects. He had his backyard just full, front yard too, his whole property was just full of little critters made out of tree trunks and branches and rusty old scrap metal and so forth, with buttons for eyes. And there were little wooden goats everywhere around the house there that he'd created out of found objects. So I probably got it from him. This light-hearted approach to art, silly fun art, is applicable, I think, to all of us, because in this day and age, between cancer and war and pollution and so on and so forth, daily life, and all the rest of the daily life stuff, between all of those, yeah, we need recreation. We need to laugh. We need to do some silly, stupid things.
Silly, stupid things that aren't really that silly and stupid after all. If you don't laugh and if you don't play, life can be just too hard. People get sick if they don't laugh, and people get well if they do laugh. And nobody makes a crowd laugh more than Ken does with his creations. You might have noticed that there's a life-sized puppet on top of Ken's truck. They call the puppet Granny.
No! Oh! Oh, I hate it when it does that. They told us that we was gonna have to float.
What do you mean float?
Float.
Well, we brought them all them balloons, we blow them up in the air.
Float. We better start blowing because I'm all out of air.
Float?
I'm tired.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna take a nap.
All right, Granny.
I'm taking a nap. I heard you. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go to sleep now. She get tired fast.
Bad.
She get tired. She
She
get
wore out. Too much of that whiskey.
Oh God.
Oh
Mess.
boy.
One of the things that you do in a kinetic sculpture race is come up with a costume to go along with your kinetic sculpture. On the deliverance truck, they were all wearing these hillbilly teeth, which I thought stole the show. There was even a young lady who was wearing hillbilly teeth whose mother was on the deliverance truck. It was like a great big family of people wearing hillbilly teeth as part of their costumes. At least, I think they were wearing hillbilly teeth. If these people weren't wearing hillbilly teeth, I think I owe an apology to an awful lot of people.
Like her
But
mom.
someday you'll have a nice black spot just like your mom.
It'll get black like that
I
one.
got one about ready to fall out.
Well, I mean, your teeth are really straight now, but I'm guessing when you were younger that maybe they weren't that straight.
You hurt my feelings.
Can I look inside the truck at all them gears?
Please do.
All right.
Please do. We got all kinds of gear.
So when you're all done pushing all them buttons
Yeah.
and moving all them levers, and right there in front of your hand is 3 major buttons.
These are
levers.
my sisters here.
You've got 500 and how many gears
588 gears
per person?
per person that we can do.
Just see the math.
We can't do the math. Remember we tried that before, we
I
couldn't do
remember the
math.
formula. I don't know how that gets there. It was 3x 7x 2x 7x2, and they told me it was 588.
Well, that's a lot of numbers.
That's all. I don't understand it. It's them x's. They mess me up.
Yeah.
That's that multiplication
Yeah,
stuff.
I know. I never did that. Never passed 4th grade.
I got it
I
studied.
had possibilities.
What's left for me now is to try to talk myself onto one of these kinetic sculptures and become part of this world I've fallen in love with. This is me trying to sell the idea of mounting a camera on Elliot's Model T. Elliot is understandably skeptical. The race I want to film from Elliot's Model T is the Grand Championship itself, the most grueling kinetic sculpture race of them all. It lasts for 3 days and goes for nearly 40 miles through the most difficult countryside imaginable. Elliot and I talk about how we might mount a camera on his Model T, and he comes up with a design. During a small portion of a kinetic sculpture race in Klamath Falls, Oregon, we try Elliot's camera mount and test my ability to film and pedal at the same time. I film, I pedal my little heart out, I throw in the best theatrics I can come up with, and while we're at it, we set the record for getting through a stretch of sand they throw at kinetic racers in Klamath Falls. My probation is going well, so far. Now it's just a matter of seeing how the filming goes in the water. I'm nervous, very nervous. As a retired teacher, I really don't have much money to spend on replacing cameras. We got through the water. I didn't lose a camera. I paddled my elderly little heart out. Elliot has agreed to let me film from his kinetic sculpture during the upcoming Grand Championship. Life is good. If I keep smiling and laughing and pedaling this much, I may live another 60 years.